I'm Patrick Deglon. Before we dive into today's session on controlling AI cost, I wanted to share a quick story. Imagine you usually get a water bill for about $200. I'm in South California, so it's more expensive. It's consistent, it's predictable. Then 1 month, you open the envelope and boom, $500. Your mind starts racing. What happened? Did one of the kids leave the tap running all day? Did the visiting in-laws take hour-long showers? Did I mess up my sprinkle automation system and accidentally water the trees every single night instead of once a week? No, you feel out of control because you can see the cost, but you don't know where it is coming from and what's the cause. That is exactly what is happening right now with generative AI in the enterprise. We are entering a phase where a surprising bill hit hard. Companies are adopting AI, but they lack the ability to understand who is using what, for whom, and ultimately what is the ROI is. Without visibility, your AI experiments are just like a broken sprinkler system, leaking money without you knowing why. That is why I built Demeterics. I started it for myself to solve my own problems, to turn a black box of spending into a crystal glass of understanding. In this recording, you will see exactly how Demeterics track flows, costs, and value in real time. But beyond this video, I wanted to help you make this transition. Whether you need a brown bag lunch presentation for your team, a demo for your engineers, or a strategy session with your IT department on how to govern this new utility, I'm here to help. We are transitioning into the fourth industrial revolution. It's a wonderful set of tools, and I want to ensure you have the control to use them safely and profitably. Enjoy the session on controlling costs for AI. And it's really going from a black box to a glass box, single pane of glass. Remember in Madhu? And I really want to spend 10 minutes on some slides to share the context of what I've built for myself, but I think many people could use it. Then spend most of the time doing demo, showing things. It's going to be a mix between the tool I built, Demeterics, and n8n, and showing a few of my workflows from an agent that I used to create YouTube videos. An agent that I used to save my life because apparently I'm a bad husband and bad father by missing a volleyball training and by not knowing an exam for my sons. So I didn't want to get caught again by not knowing what's going on. I have one about writing books. I have one about writing marketing messaging for LinkedIn. I will be showing you this, so n8n, and always through the lens of how much does it cost that come with this tool that I'm going to show you later. And then Q&A, live discussion on how we could go. Does that sound like a good plan?
Absolutely.
So a few words about myself, just in case you might know my full story. I'm obsessed with measurements. And my entire career has been along the line of measuring things to improve value. I was a physicist at CERN, measuring collision of electrons to understand the Z boson. And my thesis was a calibration thesis to prove that we can actually measure the right things for the Big Bang theory. And I learned that you cannot find signals if you don't understand the noise, right? So understanding the noise of the signals is critical. At eBay, I was a strategist working in strategy, in finance, analysis. I created a method from physics to actually move and better understand our marketing spend on Google Pay Search and others, right? And finding actually 50 million waste. And there's some white paper and even a Harvard Business Review on our study. Attribution is everything. Understanding you spend money and how does it impact the customers, the linkage is critical for everything. And then the builders, whether it's at Google, Motor Mobility, or at Optum, scaling large analytical data set, right? You cannot improve what you don't measure, right? So those are the three goals learning I got through my careers, spending e-commerce, Google, Optum, and physics. I believe that we are in this current wild, wild west of vibe coding, vibe Gen AI experimentation, and it's getting over. LLM in natures are non-deterministic. You can ask one question 5 times, going to give 5 different answers. In production, the cost is unpredictable. The latency, depending on what idea it adds, it will spend much more time or not. The quality drifts, and you have hallucinations, right? So taking a line from The Martian, we're going to have to science the beep out of this, right? Meaning in corporate America lingo, we need to provide governance, we need to provide guidance and control on the notion of using Gen AI to do work. So why did I built Demeterics, coming from Demeter, the goddess of harvesting data and analytics, Demeterics, because I observed this cost, leakage and complexity and drift. It's like Gen AI is like watering your plants. You have some automated sprinkler system in the house, and then suddenly you get, I spent $200 this month to water my house. Where did the water go? Who is using? Did someone take 2 longer baths or showers? Or did I spend 5 hours watering one area? What happened with your worry of spending too much on water at home is the same in the enterprise, right? Or at home for your own Gen AI experiments, right? And that's why I created the Demeterics, is actually to get me from a $50 bill for experiment in AI to maybe $10 bill a month, right? And for big companies, it's millions. And I noticed that I saw the same thing at CERN, right? I saw that this high velocity, expensive collisions with zero visibility, you need to enforce some level of scientific rigors. And in corporate corporate America, it's governance, right? You need to provide governance in your system. We need to bring a scientific operating system, right? And the same way you need an OS for a PC, you need some kind of experimental operating system for AI. You need a control plane, and you need to treat every prompt as an opportunity to learn something. You cannot improve what you don't measure. And that's why I created Demeterics. You can find it at demeterics.ai. And I will be showing you some examples. Before I jump into the demo, the concept of Demeterics is fundamentally something called reverse proxy. What it means is it's a universal gateway. Right now, you might do some images with Leonardo. You might do some text-to-voice with Murph or 11 Labs. You might be doing some OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini, right? Or open routers with hundreds of other things. You actually have leakage everywhere. And think of it as this water system. If you don't have something to control the water at the entry of the house, you will never know how much you spend for what, right? So what Demeterics is, it's a point where it's a single API point that you would use. Instead of calling OpenAI, instead of calling 11 Labs, you call Demeterics, and Demeterics call on your behalf the LLM in question. So you call Demeterics, he'll call GPT-5.1. You call Demeterics, he call Optus for 5. You call Demeterics, he call Grok for Llama 4, right? But by doing that, it tracks everything. Every single interaction, whether it's a chat, an image, a voice, is tracked in great details. So it's a reverse proxy that log time, attribute, calculate cost for every single interaction in real time. You can provide your key. We're never going to track the key. We're just going to provide the key forwards so that you keep using your own keys. There is a possibility of zero-day retention, meaning that there is literally almost nothing beyond just metadata, transaction ID, and timestamps that is tracked. All the content is done. So that's the spirit of it. It's a universal gateway. And it's also meant to be useful. It's also meant to be frictionless, right? So you have a hybrid model. So you can use your own key, and then we can just pass it forward. You can bring your own workflow. So instead of having an OpenAI API key and base URL, you can provide your own n8n
URL or make the plum URL. You can create your workflow, and then the system will call it. And you can also have a notion of managed key. This is kind of internal. So if you want to have managed key, you have to contact me. I need to put you in a whitelist. But basically, what it means is that Demeterics, it will be paying for your AI code. So when you call OpenAI or Anthropic, we will pay for it, and then you pay us back through credit system. One of the most important is also the notion of realizing that AI and Gen AI are somehow like interns, right? You can have a lot of interns in your company. You can have 50% of the population being interns, but it's very dangerous if you do not control them, right? Ask an intern to write a script for a movie and don't give it enough guidance, he's going to come back with something you don't want, right? It is very critical to provide as much detail in the guardrails, the what success look like, example, right, the tone, etc., etc. And this means that when you provide a prompt, your prompt should be very long and has sections, what I call promptlets. You know, a promptlet is a section in the prompt, and they should be treated as almost like programming, right? I will be showing you later on, but maybe I can show you just now an example. One of the tools that we have been building is so Demeterics can get into your Google Drive. So if I create new, I have a Demeterics here object, and this is an example of prompt. So it's just for demonstration purpose, but you see every single gray area. There is an outcome, there's a tone, there's definition of success, there is objectives, output, etc., etc. Right? This is what I talk about. Each one is a promptlet, and each promptlet has a list of guidance, right? And this is one of the prompts I use, for example, for writing the voiceover, the text, for the YouTube videos that I'm building. Oh, I'm not showing this. It's okay, but I will show you later on. So the promptlet is very important. It's a notion, and we'll see how we're going to use it. And most interestingly, we created the notion of inline comments with 3 slashes. So 3 slashes you say here. So you can not only add comments for you to reference that the LLM will not see, but through the comment you will add tagging. This prompt is for this application, for this flow, for this type of market or this type of product, right? And that is enabling you frictionless instrumentation of everything you do in Gen AI. And we will review the YouTube video in a second. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm just going to see if there's any question before I go into a real demo of Demeterics. If not, let me just share. I'm going to share my screen this time. Bear with me.
I was actually,
and I'm going to, yeah.
I was actually just wondering earlier on with the discussion that when you pointed out about the uncertainty in the results.
Yep.
This, from a cost perspective, could be very concerning, because if I'm looking for a specific answer and I do not get it, and I have an example, it's a different story, but I do have examples for right on my own where I tried reaching out for something very specific and it would never come out.
So let me jump a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer your question, and I was planning to do that a bit later. I'm gonna jump to your question, and I'm gonna take as illustrative example.
Sure.
I'm gonna take the illustrative example. Let me see what I can. The YouTube video. So you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm going to answer your question, we're going to dive into one n8n flow, which is my automated YouTube channel. It's illustrated. It's the illustrated history. It's a day in history, so December 5th, right? So it looks in the back and try to find important things, try to trick us. So research, a voiceover, images, build the video and publish it automatically. No question asked, I'm never behind. That's an example. And through that example, we'll be answering your question on ideas, tactics, way of setting up a system that will reduce the risk of doing things that you don't want, right? The illustrated history example is interesting. I think there's 8 different agents, but let's dial it down, simplify it. There's mostly 4 major roles in AI agents. You have alpha, which is the executive. It creates the strategy, direction, which topic we're gonna cover, right? Then you have the creators, which has a different personality, different guidance and prompt, right, for slightly different role, which is about creativity of the voiceover, creativity in the image prompt to illustrate the YouTube video that we're building, right? And we're going to see that in n8n, but you're going to see that the beta, the creator, is mapped to a critic, gamma. The critic look at the output of beta and has its own, and the temperature on the creator is pretty high. It's like 0.8 out of 1, right? The temperature of the critic is like 0.2, very low, very cold, very different personality profile. And it has very strict grid about scoring quality of work, right? And we'll review that. And then they iterate until the creator created something that the critic think that it's pretty good, right? And then for simplicity, the last one, Omega, the engineers, it take an output, which is all the prompt, the image prompt, the voiceover prompt, etc., and then create the MP3 file, the image file, etc., etc. Basically, it will create all the material, merge the material together to actually publish the video. So it's hello, Eric. Good to see you.
Hello.
I was demonstrating one of the example of the n8n flow that I'm building. So the n8n here, welcome n8n. So this website is n8n. This one is running on my garage on a Raspberry Pi. It's a community version of n8n. There is also a cloud version where you pay per month, but this one is open source and free. And what I'm going to show you is the day in history. So it's the way it works is it's a tool to automate a process. You have nodes, which is a piece of task. It's get my email, transform this, look at my calendars, create a response, send an email, right? You define tasks, and this is the automated script that every day, twice per day, run to create my YouTube video, my YouTube channel. It sets up some parameters, get the previous video you don't necessarily want to reproduce the exact same story. This is an agent, so it's a length chain iterative loop. It's one of the great topic of n8n. It will do something of interest. But the prompt here you see is the parameters. And let me take one thing you can do with n8n is you can take a successful example and just replay it. So now we are replaying it. So for example, this, I'm reading the way I store all my prompts. I have maybe a dozen prompts. Everything is in GitHub, and it's a Google Drive, for better word, or OneDrive, right? And then I can just restore it from there. So this is the output, and this is the prompt. So basically, the prompt is, so I was talking about the tagging. So Demeterics get a prompt, just for Eric, and Demeterics is a reverse proxy. So you call Demeterics as you would OpenAI or other API tool, but you call Demeterics instead, and Demeterics will call back OpenAI on your behalf. But it will also remove every single comment line. A comment line is 3 slashes. Right, so you can have comment line for your own, this is idea or this is spirit, but more seriously, you can very easily in any prompt, even ChatGPT if you want, you can add some tagging such as app, flow, version, variant. Right now I'm testing US story versus European stories, an ID for the video, right? And then this is the prompt I was talking about. There is a lot of promptlet. H1 tag, right, and about the guidance. So it will run that. And the only difference is it's going to run not on OpenAI, but it's going to run on Demeterics, right? And Demeterics, going back to will look like this. So Demeterics is a website that you can log in using your Google Cloud. And every line here is, every line here is an interaction. Could be a chat, could be image creation, could be voice creations. And let's take this example, for example, right? And you see here that these prompts from n8n had //app day in history. So this is automatically tagged to the application day in history, flow, illustration, evaluation, right? Version 6, et cetera, et cetera. And you have all the information about, and you see I do big prompt, and we should all be prompt. There's an output. There's some timing. There's how many tokens, input, output token, the cost, 0.23 cents, so 1/5 of a cent. And in this case, it was using the manage key. So there's really two. Bring your own key, where you pay for the LLM cost, and you pay like a 10% fees for the service. In this case here, it is Demeterics is paying a Grok or OpenAI. So you pay the cost of an LLM plus a service fee, etc. So the idea is that by doing this Demeterics reverse proxy, you can actually run the same way you would run OpenAI or Claude or Leonardo, but because you have this reverse proxy, we track everything and we can measure everything. And to get back to Alexander's questions, right? Okay, so we did an AI here, so good. But I'm going to get into this one, the create the voiceover. So this is one node, but it's actually a workflow itself. So this this is a big flow. It's a workflow itself. So what I'm doing is that I'm calling, and I have an AI story writer, right? That will create the story, Alexander, right? And you ask, hey, sometimes it's not doing what you expect to do, right? So one of the innovation here is there's two things. It's going to create something. Let's take one example. Ooh. Oh yeah, because it's okay. This one is only storing when there's an error, but you create something. And then what we're doing is we are going to use a council. So the council is a group of people. Let me see whether I have a working council. Here we go. That's a working council. So I'm going to put it back, everything here. So there is, again, a list of personas. And those are, every single persona is an AI agent. I'm just creating a group of 16 AI agents with diverse persona, diverse way of life. So you have Darius. He's a 30 years old Atlanta culture critic who is all in on hip-hop history and spicy sport debates, right? He has this story vibe, he like this and that, right? And what we're going to do is that we're going to take the council and simulate a review of the outputs and give, like it, I would like, I don't like it, I would watch it, I would not watch it, right? And then we do a summary. So we take the council output and then the critic. Remember the critic, there is a creator who create the voiceover. There is a council who give the point of view, and then the critic, very low temperatures, and basically assessing the full story on very specific criteria. And then we compare. If the score of the critic and the voice council is good enough, it will continue. If it's not, then it's gonna, it's gonna. I mean, if it's bad, it will continue until it's good, and if it's good, it will continue the flow. So here is an example of a folders of a run yesterday. There's a research here. There's an AI event here to do some research. So the research will come back, and this is about Ford releasing the first Model T to the public in December 1st, 1913. So that's a research AI agents. The voiceover, this is a final voiceover with a 90 out of 100% rating. But the first iteration, this was the first iteration, and the rating was 30 by the critic. Not good. Why? Well, can you rewrite the final scene to directly answer the question that you created in the first one, right? So it has all the kind of look for a continuity, or look like, is it successful? So Alexander, you were asking, how can we reduce the fact that sometimes Gen AI hallucinate, but sometimes doesn't do what you want to do? Well, when you're creating an email for customers or create a YouTube video, what I've been doing is, especially when you have very, very fast, Groq will be half a second or so, right? I can create first a council representing diverse persona of the client base, right? That give the feedback, and then a critique with very low temperatures on a very scientific measurement of correctness. And if there's hallucination or if there's some, the critic will come back and iterate. Did I answer your question, Alexander? Okay, thank you.
No,
So
I'm right here. What I'm sorry, I was just talking. What I was trying to point out is the effect, the side effect that it might have on the actual cost, because it's all about reducing the cost of AI.
Okay,
So
okay,
if I not get the answer, all right, that I might
you
expect,
are
I just keep
such a
hitting
great
wall.
sparring partner. You're a great sparring partner, because that's where we're getting now. We're getting, so, hey, you have this kind of cool AI tool. How much does it cost? Okay, let me get there. So just for the sake of completeness, it creates the voiceover, it creates the illustration. Here is the output of the illustration. So the illustration, first illustration, image prompt, capture on 1910 large format plate camera, wet exposure, blah, blah, blah. There's some backup image. There's also a video prompt in case sometimes I do runway, for example, ML, so it does some videos. After the video, there's a metadata. So when you want to push to YouTube, there's a lot of metadata, like the SEO. For SEO purposes, the file name is important, the title. So it will create an object with a title, a description, hashtags, the file name, the music for the background, everything. And then I throw this to an API that I've built myself. This is now basically taking all this and creating the image, calling the image creation, calling the voice, text to voice, creating the image, creating the assembly. And then it creates something like this. So let me just see whether I can share that. Let me just stop sharing. And I'm going to share the video just for the sake of showing you an output. So is it great? Well, it's goodish, but it's, and remember, this is really a techno-artistic project of mine, more than I'm selling you a product to create YouTube video. So you should have now the voice, and this is what came out a few days ago.
Built in under 2 hours on a moving belt?
Just move it back. Here we go.
Could a car be built in under 2 hours on a moving belt? Before the line, a Model T needed 12 hours and cost $850, beyond most families. On this day, December 1st, 1913, Ford's belt delivered a Model T in 93 minutes, a huge cut. Each worker did one repeatable job. The line never stopped, and the price fell to $495. In 93 minutes, the Model T rolled off, proving a car can be built in under 2 hours, closing the loop.
So as you see, and you see whether I can stop sharing. As you see, I mean, and it sounds very, very Elon Musk-esque, right? But Henry Ford, was the Pope of the second industrial revolution, right? And the fact that you could bring a car manufacturing from days to a few hours, reduce the cost, and enable many people in the US to actually purchase a car, creating, basically the culture we're living in, right? And I would argue you want to do the same thing on your Gen AI, is to understand every single step of the chain. So now that you've seen this n8n automated YouTube video, the question is, Patrick, how did it work? So once you go to, I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to show you, because in the end, that's why I built Demeterics, is to help me, but it will help you as well, control your costs in a little bit. So if you go to Demeterics.ai, your first is a dashboard. So you have overall the last 7 days or 30 days, right? You have total cost, LLM cost. The credit is, in my case, it's LLM cost plus the service, interaction, number of API call, tokens, average latency, 90%, so worse 90% latency, error rates, and the outcome. You can look at a diverse situation. As I mentioned, the interaction one, I'm going to go in this, play with it, but the interaction is if you want the drill down, right? So if you want, for example, only watching the Groq compound, you can actually just search for those. This is list historical event. So if I click on this one, I will see that this is a Groq compound, list historical event. I see my full prompt. And then toward the end, you have total cost, 2 cents, right? But most interesting, because it's compound, it means it's a tool inside Grok. It did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8-ish call with different input-output. It did one internet search, December 5th historical event, right? Which cost me 0.8 cents, right? There's also the chain of thought. The beauty of using Demeterics is it tracks every single element that is trackable by Gen AI, including all the steps and all the costs, etc. So that once you have this kind of at the detail level, you can go to a dashboard, right? And you can do something like this. I'm going to select day in history as an application, right? Day in history as an application. So in the last 7 days, it cost me $1.42. And then I can, as dimension, I'm going to use the flow. The flow, I remind you, right? It's application and flow. So if I go back to here, and on this one, for example, flow research events, right? Day in history. So if I go this, here's the top 7 most expensive flows, list historical events, council. We will talk about the council, right? Build illustration, pick country, etc. And then you see the cost. So for listing historical events, last 7 days cost me 29 cents, right? There was only 28 calls, but pretty healthy 800K tokens. The latency, the average waiting time was 20 seconds, of course, because there's a lot of internet search behind the scene, right? So it takes more time. The P95, so the 90% worse waiting time was 35 seconds, no errors. And the next one was a council, right? This is very fast loop of a persona assessing the voiceover, like it, don't like it. As you see here, 0.8 seconds, less than 1 second. If you would do that on OpenAI, it will be like 5 to 10 seconds. That's why I'm using Grok in particular. The speed is so good. But the token and the interaction, right? Number of calls, 1,000 calls, right? Token 1.6 million, right? So this is how I'm using it to do this. There is an outcome. Not only can you track events, but I also have this conversion data. So every day, it will look at my videos. Let's take an example, copy to editor. It will look at the video and get one video, for example, this one. And then in that data set here, you have, you have the number of, you have number of likes, views, etc., etc. And then I call Demeterics with the outcome. So this is number of views, and now you need to be a little bit analytics. So you need to select the right thing. But the variant is interesting. So last 7 days, day in history, my US stories were 171 views. The European one is 760. But of course, I have a very low, particularly I have a very low list of things. So one outliers, like this guy, for example, one outlier could easily, and Napoleon did a lot of things as well. So in the last 7 days. So it's not the most robust way to do on my channel, but the spirit is here is that you can provide dollar value, for example, or average thumb up, right? You can provide an outcome that is valuable for you. Views, sales, satisfaction rate, right? And if selected properly, you can actually see which flows or which variant of the flows give you the best outcome. With this, and I wanted next to go into some more flow example. But before I go into more flow example, I wanted to get back to the group here and see if you have any question on what you have presented so far.
I wouldn't say question, but I really like the sense of control, right, that Demeterics applies into a series of operations, possibly across multiple AI agents and what's not. This looks like a very useful tool.
Yes, and you have not seen experimentation features that I'm building, right? The notion of creating an experimentation features, right? Like picking variant ABC or creating evals. An eval is, I'm going to stay in my production lane, but I'm gonna, for every single question by your customers, I'm gonna try OpenAI GPT-5, 5.1, and Claude Sonnet 4.5. And then I'm comparing latency, and then you can, the outputs, you need a LLM as judge, so you have a third-party kind of LLM measuring the quality of the output. Is it valid? Is it like the critic? You basically use a critic that will score the output, and then that eval will help you understand a little bit of the you know, because here's the point. I mean, I love my chat on my phone, right? It will save me so much, but it's slower than Grok, for example, right? And for good reason. ChatGPT is using GPUs, right? Google is using TPUs, tensor processing units. The guy who created, and this is really good for matrix multiplication, tensor. The guy who created TPUs left Google, created Grok with a Q, not a K, and created a new chipset, LPUs, language processing unit, which are 10 times faster for an LLM. So no wonder it's much faster, right? So sometimes you want to go fast, you want to go maybe a Llama or Scout, which is very cheap from Meta, open source, right? But you don't want the quality of the output to suffer, right? So why would you wait 10 seconds if the quality of the output is kind of the same, right? One example of FYI on Demeterics is the notion of, so you have here AI chat. So not only you have all the tracking, but for my son, my wife, myself, and a few friends, I created the notion of having the ability for you to create an AI chat. Here is a Git repo just for illustration. So who am I? So this is Git. So this is again Google Drive for developers. This is just a demonstration, and this is one file just to showcase. So this is a typical HTML file for a web page. The only thing I needed to add at the end of that page is those 2 lines of code. Script, Demeterics, widget embedded with a key, and this key will only work on one website, and this will trigger this. So this is a rendering of the web page, and now suddenly on the bottom right, I have like a question, and I can ask, what did Patrick do at eBay? And it will run, and you can do full screen, right? And it will do this, and it will provide them. So how did it do that? It did that, and actually, of course, if you go to interaction here, you know, you see it here, right? And this costed me 0.2 cents, the full interaction, right? And you can see the token, the time it took, right? And I'm using Grok OSS 20 because it's very, very cheap. So I'm talking about this type of cheapness. So if you go to Grok with a Q, not a K, and go to docs and models, you will see you have all the open source models, the Llamas, OSS, which is OpenAI, open source, 120, 20, right? You look at, 20 cents for input and 60 cents for output. I love OpenAI, but sometimes also, one need to be careful on the pricing here. It's really good for some cases, but here you're more like looking at, $1.25 and $10 for output, right? And it's slower. It's about 10 times more expensive, but it's also 10 times slower. So sometimes you want to have Grok because it's good enough. It's 10 times faster. Time is money, especially in data centers, electricity. So that's why maybe it's so cheaper. It's because it's so fast. It doesn't need to rent the data centers too much, right? So I'm using Grok a lot, and that's what I wanted to showcase. So the idea was, so for the prompt and the promptlet, Demeterics now is installed on my Google Drive. So you can install Demeterics to your Google Drive, and you can create new type of object, which is a prompt, and it will help you create a prompt. So here you can have you can collapse all. So this is all promptlet. So it's H1 level title, first level chapter title. Each one is a promptlet, a section about definition of success. You remember talking about intern. If you give an intern the task to write a movie script and just give no guidance, it's going to come back, but it's going to come back with you don't know what, right? You want to be really precise on what's the objective, what's the format of the output, right? how do we see, what do we frame a scene? What's the first scene? What's the last scene, right? What about the voice instruction, loud, careful, etc. And this is kind of an editor. So basically, you can edit it. And then the most beautiful thing is you can actually clone it. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to say B. Now I have the B, and this one is going to be you always talk like a parrot. And by doing that, I created two prompts. I'm going to say A and B, all right? And then if I use this prompt in my machine, in Demeterics, it will actually randomly pick A and B. If you select auto, let me show you what I'm talking about. If I'm on my AI chat, and here in the prompt of the system, I'm using the variant random. This is going to randomly pick, every time there's a question, it's going to randomly pick one of the variants that I have. In that case, there is two variants, right? And that enables you to do even more testing out of the box, right? Out of the box. So let me, for sake of time, because I also want to get questions, show you some example of things that are life-saving, at least for me. So one example was let's take the volleyball schedules. So I love the kids have volleyball, and I'm gonna find them. Seaside Island. Okay, they have volleyballs, and somehow they keep on changing. It's not like on Tuesday at 5 there's a training. It's like every week is different. They're kidding me. But thank God, the team and my two sons have different teams. The team have a Google Calendar that is public. So what this is doing is every day at 7 a.m., it's getting the calendars for the kids. So let me just take one example. I'm also collecting the weather, just for the sake of it. So I get the weather into a funky format, and then I just format it into a nice markdown table that the LLM can enter. I'm getting the volleyball calendars, and I'm converting it into markdown. And then I have an AI agent that's gonna take the input, which is basically, this is the full calendars for all the teams, right? And then there's a guidance. So the app is CoachBot. Flow is AI agents. You're this, and this is what you're doing. This is what you receive. This is what I want you to do. This is how you want to do it. And then it come back with an output. Friday, December 5th. Anthony and Victor are off today. Well, I didn't take the best example. Let's take it yesterday. Yesterday, they had something. Yesterday, message was, Anthony, 14 black at 7:30, Victor, 5:30, right? Basically, the message. Extremely useful for me. Took me 10 minutes to build the flow, right? I have another one for my kids' email. For your work, for example, here's an example of support email. So please don't send an email just to test the system. But basically, I'm testing it for one product called Peer NPS. It's a way to measure trust with the teams. And if you send an email to support at PNPS, and I think I had an example. I sent, here you go. So I sent, how can I get started? And then PNPS n8n flow thought about it and responded, hi, thank you for reaching out. This is how you get started. I have a big yellow sticker. This is AI assisted message, right? It's here to help you get a quick answer. But and if you have doubts, just call those other system, right? So how does it work? It first check whether it's an internal system, like it's a system from the system. Like we don't want to do the AI message for all the error message from the system, and then it's running Demeterics on the input of the message, and then this is a prompt, and this is the guidance on how I want you to react. This is what the object you have to respond, and then it's basically there is a vector search as well. So I have a big database of advice or usage, so it can collect information, and then just sending the response to your users. It's also sending me, this is me, hey, this user got this question, this is how I responded. If it's wrong, just tell us, more than before. So that's one example how n8n can connect to an email account. I'm using the Migadu. I think it's a Swiss company. Fairly interesting pricing. Arthur is interesting as well. So Arthur is a chat. So you can create a chat. Here's a chat where I ask it, write a chapter about a knight and a dragon at bed. And Arthur has an AI chat that has AI agents. So this is an AI agent. So it's a main agent, bunch of purpose, context, co-responsibility, all the guidance. But it also has a sub-AI agent to help him. There is a plot architect that has its own guidance on how to improve the architecture of the plot, the dialogue masters, the scene painter, character psychologist. So everyone here is on the service of the Arthur, the main AI agent, right? I have Athena. Athena is I can ask her, find out the latest trends with GPT-5.1 and prepare a post for LinkedIn. I haven't tested that this morning. Might not work exactly as wanted. But the spirit of Athena is similar. It's actually connecting to Demeterics. It has internet search access, Wikipedia access, calculator. Oh my goodness, it also can send email. I think it's sending myself. Yeah, it's only sending to myself. That's good. It can also store. I can give it pictures. It will store the pictures, and if I ask it to do a YouTube video, it will only take the pictures that I provided. So with this, let me see. I think I presented most of what I wanted to do. I want to let time for question, deep dive. And oh, well, actually, let me still show you what came out with. So this is what Athena came back with. So GPT-5 is raising the bar for conversational AI, and then instant, why it matters, what's the next step for your business, and there's different A/B tests for variant, right? So it's useful. It's useful. Yeah. With this, any questions, comments, suggestions?
Is there any possibility that with the extra helpers, I might find myself, since they do their own coordination, okay, and whatnot, is there any possibility that I might find myself with additional costs, would you say?
Oh, 100%. And that's why Demeterics is interesting. So LangChain, so let me be precise. So let me precise and do one example. I'm going to do this example. So I'm going to create a chat in front of you. So I'm going to create this. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find you a place where I can. So it's gonna start on a chat. It's gonna create an AI agent, which is a LangChain object with a brain. I'm going to use Demeterics. I'm going to use Grok. I'm going to use Compound. Should work. Yeah, I want to show you the tools. I'm going to do the OSS 20. Right? I can add a simple memory just so you remember from time to time, and that's about it. So you can make it active. You can create the chat public, and you can save it. Now, if I go here, you can say, tell me a joke, right? So it will tell you a joke, right? And if you go back to, now we're, this guy, okay. If you go back to execution, oh, because I didn't save. Okay, I need to save the one that's successful. Save, okay. Save successful production, right? So I can show you, I can do demo a bit better. Tell me a joke in Greek for my friend Alexander.
Let's see how fun it can be.
And here you have your, what does it mean in English? for the rest of us.
Alexander are you from Greece? Kalimera.
So we were talking about this notion.
You're very far away, Alexander.
So let me just finish the example. So we can add tools. One tool is Tavily. Tavily is a great API that helps you access the internet. You can do search, right? The query, and you can do magical query. Okay. And then now I have an agent, I have a brain, I have a tool. I can ask it what happened in San Diego in the last 7 days. So any AI trained on data from 2024 will not know what happened, right? But it did. It did have December, it has, how did it do it? Because I gave it Tavily. So now if I go to execution, I see that it had actually user memory. It had actually used search in Tavily, right? It had actually used the model, but it had used it. And let's see whether we can see those entries in Demeterics. Ooh, did I not track it? Did I do it? Ooh, something is okay. Today. Not today. Well, yeah, it will, maybe it's on the other one. I have two of those. Last try, otherwise I'm just gonna talk about it. It's tracking every single time you call the system, right? So this is actually every time it calls. So if the loop creates 10 calls, you will have 10 lines. You will see every single lines, and you will see every single cost for every single lines, right? So you will have a handle on the cost because you will see it, and actually you can see whether you can fine-tune the prompt to maybe stop doing crazy iteration, right? So the AI agent in n8n is a length chain, so it's an iterative tool that's going to keep on calling the Gen AI until it feels that it has some answer.
This is exactly
one of the idea of prompt is towards the end of the prompt, say, define success. Did you check this? And if anything is wrong, do it over. It will actually do it over. Like, let's say you wanted to have something with a specific format and the format is not satisfactory. You can ask it to restart. It will restart. It will redo it. But you create, new loop. Again, that's like the water sprinkler system. Where is my $200 water bill? Where did it go? Well, maybe you have it every day now. You're watering this plant that doesn't need everyday watering, right? With Demeterics, you have this type of information. So I encourage you, ping me online. I'm always happy to have a coffee chat. You can try today, Demeterics. .ai will have the API and the chat. Demeterics.com will only have the chat. It's more like for webmasters, or if you have a website, you want just to have a simple web, you can do that. Or let me show you some documentation. I think that will be useful. I gave to my son the other day this. So if you go to documentation here, you can have a lot of documentation, and one was GitHub pages. So I gave my 14-year-old son this page, which guides step by step how to connect to GitHub, how to use, now they have Visual Studio Code on GitHub. So in the browser, you can launch code editors that include Copilot, GitHub, so you can talk to the machine. I think a free GitHub account can have, I think, 50 hours per month of Gen AI. So through chatting, he was able to create its own website. Let's see whether I can have. So this is what he created. He created this 30 minutes, 14 years old, created this website using vibe coding on GitHub. GitHub is belong to Microsoft. Visual Studio also belong to Microsoft. That's why he was able to do that. And what's interesting is that, as I mentioned, in the source code of that, at the bottom, you have here the Demeterics code, right? You have the Demeterics code here, right? So that you can actually say, you can have a GitHub things and tell me a joke in French, and it will connect to the Demeterics, and will provide you some information. And you can connect, you can change the logo colors, etc., etc. So yeah, bottom line is Demeterics has a lot of documentation and API references on how to do various topics. And oh, that's interesting. When there's a little ringtone when I get overtime. But with that, I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover. Any questions?
No, it was not a ring. It was me just raising my hand. I have a question about the not hardware, but like the setup of the architecture. Maybe that's another meeting for another time. And,
I can talk about it.
Yeah, like the setup and like how it is the architecture of all of this and how does it interacts. And the question, like right now, roughly is, for instance, on this last example that you gave about your son, like how much space is it? Are you hosting it in your own servers locally?
Good
That's
question.
what I saw. Okay.
Good question. I spent too many years at Google through Motor Mobility. So I'm a Google Cloud fan, and everything is in Google Cloud, using Google Cloud technology. The only thing that's not Google is Grok, OpenAI, etc. So the web page themselves are an app engine. App engine is a web service from Google Cloud that auto-scale on demand. There's 1 billion people using it. It will create enough instances to cover all the people. That is the web service. App Engine is pretty old, because 10, 15, 12 years old. A newer version is called Cloud Run. Less features, but more effective. The API is all on Cloud Run. So let me show you what I'm talking about. If you go to the documentation, AI one. If you go to the AI documentation, you can see here AI 101 tutorial. We have this GitHub repo that I encourage you, the AI 101. There is a dozen or more example of learning AI through Go, Node.js, Python, even Arduino. Bash is just command line. And there's example of various, and then it's using, like, this is a minimal chat. So this is a question: what is the capital of Switzerland? How to actually set it up, right? And it's calling api.demeterics.com. So this is a Cloud Run. So it's a very effective, very small image, a few megabytes, and it's storing. So data. So we're storing the data in BigQuery and resurfacing it on Demeterics like this. Every time you have an API key, you have to select the data retention. And when the data is gone, the data is gone. I think what we're keeping is just the timestamp of we're leaving everything that is meaty, everything that is, the question, the response. But the fact that at this time when we're keeping it. You can set 0-day retention, and basically you will not have any question and response. We will still strip out Athena and main agent. We'll still strip out the tagging, but we're not going to store for the rest. So API.demeterics.com is the primary server for everything: the widgets, the call, the agents, the n8n call, right? And then this Demeterics.ai is an app engine. It's a web portal, and everything is using Google.
Awesome, thank you.
So talking about the documentation, there's a getting started, more about the pricing, the bring your own key. There's different fees, different features. There's a lot of whitelisting for managed keys, where we're paying for you on the speech generation, the image generation. You can extract your data. There's a way for you to get your interaction if you want to do offline. There's a lot of prompt engineering. That's where you have all the tags. You have you have customers. You have a lot of tags you can use for tracking. Example, the conversion tracking, how you can actually provide a dollar value for some of the previous rows so that you can measure conversion. And then the different chat widgets and etc. Any other question?
It was amazing.
Oh, one last question. Of course, there's always a last one, right? Last one. I beg you, if you would like to try it out, if there's something not working, please use the little yellow button at the bottom left. You see the little button? So let's say, I don't know, let's say the dash is not really nice. We don't like the dash. So you can report an issue, and we're gonna highlight this little dash, and you're gonna say dash not nice. The dash is not very business friendly. Can we have a 0? Right? Bug report, submit feedback, close. And we're gonna wait a few seconds. But I don't necessarily want to show you my email, but you know I'm a geek. I love technology. There is an automated analysis of the code being run to actually, I'm trying to understand what we should do about it. So while I'm talking, I'm opening up my email as well, so bear with me. Yeah, not today. Let me, I'm going to show you another example.
No worries. The only thing that's not working with me are typically the AI models, not the tools.
Yeah, no, I should track it, right? So you see my screen here, new feedback, STT broken bug. So this is what I will get. I will get an email with the feedback. And for web pages facing the customers, if there is an error, the system will actually do an analysis, so that it's borderline self-healing. So system detect errors, and instead of saying, hey, there's an error, which it does, also trigger an analysis of the code and try to understand where did the error come from. It will look at the code and say, well, this is the root code, and this might be the things. So that as an admin, I can just go to the system, copy the error logs, copy the analysis, and just get Claude Code or some others started on trying to see how we could fix it. I could have, but I don't want to connect the automation of rebuilding the based on that. But we're not far. I mean, Google has been talking a lot about self-healing application. I wouldn't be surprised that they are the page where you have every single test and UAT and testing. I wouldn't be surprised that that they can do that. But that's another thing that Demeterics does, is it's really good at collecting the feedback. This is just, I need to check why it didn't finish, but it will. And it was working yesterday. And then self-identifying bugs also are being treated. If there is no more question, thank you so much for spending time with me. It was really lovely. I wish you a good day, a happy weekend, and happy holidays if I don't see you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick. Bye, all.